Cod baseball is Cape Cod. Huh? It's just absolutely.
We're a little provincial. The Falmouth's not playing. We're not playing.
You know how it is, right? We don't even know, right, who's in the Stanley Cup. We don't know. So that's how Falmouth is with the league. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. So it's so great to be with you, Representative Bolton. I'd just love to hear where you are, what your goals are. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time over the years working on broadband issues, competition issues, employment issues. The BEAD program is something that very central to completing the goals of the 1996 Telecommunications Act that I was the principal democratic author of. How do we make sure that everyone gets it? It's easy to do the big urban areas and the suburban areas that are around the cities. Then the further away you get is the less reliable the service, and that's where these programs have been meant to remediate. And I'd just love to hear what your plans are in order to get that final part of full connectivity complete.
I think Steve will probably.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about this, and on the left of Michael is Art Gaylord. I don't know if you met him. Art was one of the co-founders of OpenCape. He was the IT director.
So just tell me a little bit about OpenCape. How did it get started?
Okay, so
who funds it? No?
So no problem. So right around the time you were coming into the Senate, we had received in 2009 the American Recovery Act grant, the BTOP grant. We received $32 million in federal funding, $5 million from the state to cover our matching portion, and $2 million in private money from the company. So we had $39 million. With that, we built, this was before I arrived, so Art can take credit for this. We built 350 miles of fiber on the Cape, southeastern Mass, connecting to Boston and Providence. What has happened since then is...
And who actually deployed that fiber? Who deployed it?
So OpenCape owns and deploys the fiber. We have a series of subcontractors that work for us. We still use many of them today to manage. We've grown organically. We have over 700 miles of fiber today. And we generate, so from a business standpoint, even though we're a 501c3, we operate very much like as a nonprofit. We operate very much like a for-profit organization. We take all the revenue we drive from the organization, plow it back into maintenance, growing the network, building the network. So who we connect and how we did that is we connect here on the Cape, southeastern Mass, the biggest businesses, the Cape Cod Healthcares, we connect 26 locations for them, South Coast Health, Joint Base Cape Cod, all the places that require significant connectivity. Likewise, our Main Streets initiative, like here in town, we connect close to 80 businesses right here in Main Street town. Buzzards Bay, Woods Hole, we're just doing Hyannis right now. And you mentioned BEAD earlier. We just applied through BEAD to the Commonwealth to get funding to do similar while connecting unserved or underserved in Provincetown, Orleans, Chatham, and Florida.
How much did you apply for?
$3.4 million.
$3.4 million.
$3.4 million. We had to pay a match to get some of that. NBI is asking us questions about our application right now. I leave here today to go back and finish doing that. But we're hoping that looks good. The other thing we've been working on with the board, the OpenCape board, is using our middle mile to attract last mile providers to compete with Comcast and Verizon.
So let's just take Falmouth as an example.
Sure.
How many providers exist right now in Falmouth?
Really one.
And that's Comcast?
Yeah, Comcast they provide the bulk of the service to residents and small business. OpenCape we connect all the big businesses you think about and also all those smaller businesses. The majority of the small businesses here on Main Street. And the difference,
So there's a competition along Main Street,
yes,
Verizon versus, now, is there different pricing that you can see in Falmouth where there is real competition?
Yes,
As opposed to out in the more remote parts of Falmouth where you're
Sure.
not?
So, and we have several folks here, and you'll meet some, I've seen some already. Mr. Eisenberg across the table there is actually connected, he's one of our guinea pigs. We connected his home down in Woods Hole, and when there's a problem, which rarely happens, he lets me know immediately. So,
There you go.
but our basic offering, and this is when we met in Boston at the Roundtable with all the ISPs, and I was probably the lone dissenter.
Yeah.
Our basic offering is $250 down, $250 up, 250 megabits down, 250 up, which is dramatically better than what Comcast is offering. Residents pay $55 a month for that, small businesses pay $80. And that can be scaled all the way to 10 gigs.
Now, Verizon's not in Falmouth?
No,
Okay. So you're the only competition
yes.
for Comcast?
Yes.
And can you identify a measurable benefit for consumers in terms of price competition?
I think our presence, I mean, we've looked at this a bunch of different ways. Ever since we started connecting, let's say we started with Cape Cod Healthcare, for example, what they paid for connectivity has dropped dramatically versus by our presence. And also cost of bandwidth, obviously, the commoditization of it has lowered the price as well. But our presence absolutely
Right.
puts pressure on.
Where on the Cape is there a Comcast plus Verizon plus you? Does that exist yet anywhere?
Nowhere on the Cape.
Nowhere on the Cape.
I mean,
But do you have a plan to introduce competition to be the third one in? Because you usually see the big drop in price when there's a
Yes.
third company that shows up. Do you have a plan to introduce that someplace as a good example of what could happen?
yes, and that's something we've been working on. So while I can't give you all the details because we're under a myriad of NDAs right now, we're working with outside providers that want to come here and connect. As a matter of fact, one of them came, well, three of them have come and met with the Falmouth Municipal Light Board, and one of them, which we're hoping to finalize a deal with possibly this week, they said that they would connect 82% of the Falmouth households in the first pass. That's a good number.
How long would that take?
2 years.
2 years. And that would just have a second, that would only be the second company.
That would be the second. The likelihood of getting a third, like, well, we never know what Verizon's doing. We literally don't know because it's,
Is there one community on the Cape where Verizon is the dominant?
no.
No. So they just pick and choose, huh?
They're actually just doing, on the Cape, they have a ton of fiber. They use it for their fixed wireless and for their cell phone. So they're not doing fiber to the home in any way, shape, or form. So on the Cape, if you have Verizon, you have DSL, which is, 2 down, 1 up. So it's garbage.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So to the extent to which what you're about to introduce
Yes.
into the equation is real competition
Real competition.
for 82% of Falmouth, okay? Which would then be like the testing lab to demonstrate what can happen, right?
Yes, there's actually more going on here, and I'm not.
I understand.
This is
NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Okay, so I understand you don't
The
want to go to
company
jail,
we're talking
right?
to,
Yep.
the company we're talking to
Yep.
is also, their first initial deployment would be New Bedford, Fall River, Dartmouth, and Falmouth.
Wow.
And they've actually been working with Mayor Mitchell and his team in New Bedford to solve that. So it's a pretty comprehensive first approach. But here in Falmouth, it would make a fundamental difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and up in a part of Falmouth with limited cell phone
Yeah.
service. So I can see that we're at the outer end of.
The good news is the engineering they've shown us is
Yeah.
the coastal parts of Falmouth would be well covered. Interestingly enough, the middle part, like the Ballymead and up Gifford Street is where they might not touch it. I think we can adjust that and get that number higher. I'd like to see it at 90%, but
That'd be
where
great.
we are.
So Tom, yeah, you want to add anything to Tom?
Just that I've heard from doctors at hospitals, scientists at WHOI, the importance of having reliable and powerful broadband connectivity for the work that they do, especially when it comes to what's called, MDL or WHOI. The importance of being able to work with their colleagues all around the world. Because as you know, the work that they do is recognized all around the world, and especially when it's related to atmospheric monitoring, having immediate access and sharing capabilities is hugely important to them.
And they tell you that they're limited right now.
Well, they're
They're not limited. So we connect Woods Oceanographic, MBL.
Oh, you mean, but you already do that. You already provided that, right?
And we have, the one thing that's different between the service we give to WHOI, for example, and say the Main Street service. Today, as we sit, we can go to 400 gigs to any of those clients. And we're in the midst of a multi-million-dollar upgrade that we paid for organically. It will take us to 800 gigs. Now, no one on the Cape or Southeastern Mass needs 800 gigs today. But the fact that we'll have that capacity means that we can attract business, whether it's biomedical or blue economy businesses. Companies can stay here and retain jobs, create more jobs. It allows innovative work to happen here in our region. And that's really one of the side benefits.
No, so the state is interested.
Yes.
Here too, Tom.
Absolutely, and it's something that Senator Fernandez has been working on Rep Vieira. It's been a centerpiece of town meeting too on the local level as well. And there's many leaders around this table to that effect. But you were asking about the price point incentive, so I just wanted to bring up the sort of quality and reliability incentive too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very different dynamic between if you have we're 99.999 up. That's less than 6 minutes a year down, which is a fundamental difference between what, if anyone has someone else in this room, that's not the case. Let's put it that way. Big,
Right.
Yeah, I would just, the Cape the Cape and Falmouth in particular sort of has a quirky place in the digital build-out in that it was originally built out by Adelphia, and the quality of the coax was terrible. So Falmouth has long had, broadband to every house, but the reliability and speed of that broadband, even between Falmouth, I live in Sandwich, work for the town of Falmouth, much better reliability and speed in Sandwich than Falmouth. So it's
You're saying the original company put in bargain basement.
Right. And Comcast
that was
technology.
also like 30 years ago. So that's
Yeah.
that coax, that fiber, they even with some fiber, it's kind of end of life at this point.
Comcast is not invested in it. So it's misleading if you just look at the sort of headline, who has connectivity in Falmouth. Everybody can get, Comcast internet service, but the reliability and speed of it is really bad compared to what is available in most of the country.
And that becomes very challenging during the summer, Senator, when half our residents are second homeowners here. So we go from 33,000 residents to 70,000 residents, plus another 25,000 people who are visiting, and we notice a slowdown. So, particularly to Steve's point, the reliability is so important, and I know Wayne can attest to that as the executive director of the EDIC. We need to be in job creation mode. We need to be able to lure businesses to come here, but without this, we cannot.
So you're saying, January or February, when you're at 33,000 people, it seems to work a lot better than
Still not ideal.
August, when you could have upwards of 100,000 people.
Still not ideal, but yes. Yes.
And the issue is, if I'm right, the issue is more the small business, small commercial accounts, because the WHOIs and the hospitals, they can pay for robust,
Correct.
Both Comcast and OpenCape service redundant. I know the town does.
Correct.
So the town has both OpenCape and Comcast high-speed redundant service. So the big businesses are okay, but those small businesses can't afford it.
Because the businesses we're going to reach today, they're going to be big beneficiaries.
Yeah, that's what you're going to hear about today from Sarah and Cousins and Scott Gelfies and the other.
And even from our perspective, we were one of the first businesses on Main Street to switch over the chamber. And our issue wasn't really price. Our issue was reliability, which was challenging. and we've been with Open Cape, I don't know how long now, we were one of the first, we did a joint campaign to get the local businesses along with the EDIC and Open Cape, we were out there, and we have had really very little connectivity issues, it's been really wonderful. So that's why we're so happy to host you today, every year, so.
One of the things that you mentioned when you mentioned your 1996 act was, getting competition in. You said that you get to the cities, you can get to the rural, but the rural areas were tough. And we on the Cape have seen that time after time. When you first did your 1996 acts and the CLETs and the DSL started up, we managed to get some to come here. Verizon started putting in DSL at that point until they filled out the competition. And then all of a sudden they didn't do it anymore. When I was at Hui, we could get good high-speed connectivity because we could pay for it. It still was not as good as what you could get in Boston, and it cost twice as much as in Boston. So that's why I started getting involved with Open Cape, was to help solve that problem. And then,
So this will be competitive
yes,
at Hui and
as soon as Open Cape was able to offer service, the cost of what Hui was buying from Comcast dropped in half.
wow, yeah, perfect.
And
That's the lead.
We expect that type of stuff to happen
Yeah.
at the residential level. In fact, just the fact that Falmouth has been talking for a couple of years about doing a fiber to the home build-out has forced Comcast to improve its service. And I think objectively you have to say they've gotten better over the past couple of years. But that's solely to try to keep somebody else out. And if that effort goes away, then we will be stuck with what we have until it's no longer quite as good as anybody else. And it just won't improve. So that's why
You just have a Delphia repetition syndrome.
Right.
But you just wind up in the same situation again. And again, the goal of the 1996 Telecom Act is to induce Darwinian, paranoia-inducing competition in the marketplace. Okay, that was my goal. Right? We want all these wires going down the street. Everyone can compete. And the consumer is the beneficiary. And of course, what the big broadband companies do, they go to state legislatures across the country to prohibit competition, to prohibit municipalities from even getting in. And I think there are up to 16 states have actually passed laws prohibiting competition. Unbelievable. So what you're in the process of doing is actually demonstrating, which would be a good example for the rest of the country. What are you guys thinking? You get a higher quality technology and you have lower prices simultaneously because they're so paranoid that they're going to lose their customers. So that's why I'm so excited about what you're doing.
And most of the rest of the towns on the Cape are just waiting to see what happens here. I mean, a number of them are looking at things. Falmouth happens to be the furthest along. We know that once things get done in Falmouth, it's going to spread throughout the rest of the Cape and probably most of southeastern Massachusetts.
What you'll see is we have roughly 38 miles of fiber in Falmouth alone. So when that other provider comes in and is utilizing our fiber to get around town, building out last mile connections, it's quite possible you'll see a 50% defection.
Right.
If not more. And that will really drive competition, better pricing, connecting the disenfranchised, the digital divide, all those things.
This is so exciting. It really is. It's great. So you guys are the pioneers here in terms of, being the leaders for the rest of the Cape. The rest of the Cape.
He's the pioneer. He's the
Falmouth's always
he's the
first.
one.
And maybe we should move to see the impacts and do the walking tour around.
Yeah.
David knows that this has been happening in other parts of the country for a decade, more than a decade now.
So the Lafayette, Lafayette, Chattanooga have sort of shoved away, and then Google Fiber jumped in and did 20 or 30 cities, and so it's been going on a long time. The technology is really well known. The thing that money, the financing is quite well known too, but the missing ingredient is political will, and that's why we hired you.
Honestly, no, as you know, we don't get paid a lot, so I get paid psychic income, inciting the intent
That's
of
what I
the law
meant.
come to life, okay?
Yeah.
So that's, we're never gonna get rich, Tom, right? But you get a great satisfaction out of seeing a policy, including the BEAD program and all the other things, actually begin to make a difference. And people who are smart, who get to the front of the line, and say, hey, we can take that, build on it, and then set the example.
Well, this is one example where, there were, and Mark may know this number better than I do, around $4 billion was spent on the PTOP program.
I don't know what PTOP is.
The Broadband Technology Opportunity Program was part of the ARA.
Okay.
Yeah, the first Obama bill, had BTOP.
And
I have approximately, Citizen Tom, we have approximately 1 million acronyms we have. It's always helpful if you just say what the letters mean, and everyone's in the game immediately.
It's not quite as bad as the military.
so we are one of the few remaining recipients of those funds that have been able to actually do what we said we were going to do. We've created a viable working business model. We haven't received any other federal aid or any other funds. We live or die on our own volition. And it's a credit to communities like Falmouth that they're seeing such strong adoption.
No, great. But you've applied for 3.4 million, not for Falmouth, but
No, that's just
for the BEAD program in
will
general.
allow
Yes.
us to put some of that same tech in P-Town, Orleans, Chatham, and the Bourne side, the Cape side of Bourne. We already did Buzzards Bay.
So I'm looking forward to our tour. Is anyone else? Yes, sir.
Just quickly, one story that some of you are familiar with, talking about winners and losers, and this is only a temporary loss in my opinion for Open Cape. Steve, fill in Miles O'Brien. Some of you may know Miles O'Brien, the science reporter for PBS NewsHour, and 17 years with CNN.
He's always there for the launch of the NASA.
That's right.
Yeah.
In fact, he had a deal to ride on one of the launches, and then the catastrophe happened, and his deal fell through. But he lives in West Falmouth, and he has a studio in his basement. So when you see him with that
No kidding.
fireplace behind him, he's coming to you live or on a recorded loop from his own home studio in West Falmouth. It's a Comcast connection that is costing him dearly, and he would buy from Steve tomorrow.
We're talking to him. I just met him I also worked for PBS for 17 years, part of this program. So we actually knew each other. So we're working on it.
I was going to say, making some headway?
Yes, we're making headway.
Yeah. The cost of construction was prohibitive. It goes back to, how many customers are you going to get on one loop?
Yeah.
But think about the town of Falmouth. If somebody like Miles, who has the money to spend and the drive to work from this location, if that was available to the dozens of other creative people in this community or who want to live in this community and work from here, I mean, we don't think about that because they're not lined up at the chamber door, unfortunately. But if we could publicize the fact that we have alternatives to Comcast, number one, the Comcast bills will go down, and you'll have alternatives for the latest technology. And to me, that's part of what we're missing right now.
Yeah, and I saw in the briefing material that Mark put together for me, my staff Marcus did all the work on this building today, that Falmouth's population went from 32,000 to 33,000 from 2010 to...
That's all about his Open Cape.
No, I'm saying, it's just the point is that the easier you make it, and consistent with what the 21st century economy is, is the more likely that you make it an attractive place. It's already attractive, but you have to make it attractive to work from, to be able to do the same things in an economy that now allows you to do all the things that you want to be able to do from a more remote location, as long as you have reliable, affordable, capacity.
You should sit in our office for a day because the phone rings and every call starts the exact same way. Hey, I work from home. I live in town, you name it, Falmouth, and I have abysmal connectivity, and I need better connectivity so I can continue working from here, or I want to start my business. One of the people we invited to this event, this woman, it's a Hui spinoff called Hydra Scientific, and she had Comcast. She was trying to run labs and things like that. She couldn't physically do it on her, and we just connected her like 2 weeks ago, and she was ecstatic. She wasn't able to come today, but
We should have brought her in the remote.
Great connectivity.
Yeah.
exactly.
So I'm looking forward to the tour. Actually, Tom and I have the only 2 jobs that will never be remote. If we're remote, we're plumber. Okay, so
I have no choice anyway. I have no cell signal in West Falmouth. No, I go to Coffee Hour when I need to make a phone call. Yeah.
that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. So let's go do anybody else? Good. No? Okay, let's go do this walk. Look at